You know that feeling when you're standing in the ruins of everything you built, staring at the ashes of your dream, and the person who set the fire is on Forbes talking about innovation? Yeah, that was me 3 months ago, 90 days to be exact. Sitting in my studio apartment, the one I could barely afford after he fired me, scrolling through Steam reviews of my game. The game I coded, I designed. I poured 2 years and every last cent of my savings into. Except my name was nowhere on it. His was. Marcus Chen, visionary CEO and lead developer. The comments section was a dumpster fire. Broken AI. Game-breaking bugs everywhere. This is unfinished garbage. Refund immediately. And you know what the worst part was? They were right. Because Marcus, the genius who stole my prototype, rebranded it, rushed it to market, and fired me to cut costs, had no idea what he was doing. He didn't understand the architecture. He didn't know how the systems talk to each other. He sure as hell didn't know about the failsafe I'd buried deep in the code, the one I built on a gut feeling, a paranoid whisper in the back of my brain that said, "Protect yourself." And that failsafe? It wasn't a bomb. It was a switch. One single line of code. And when I finally flipped it, 90 days after he destroyed me, Steam's refund system lit up like a Christmas tree on fire. $14 million, gone, overnight. His company collapsed in less than a week. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning. To the moment I was naive enough to believe that talent, hard work and trust actually mattered. Spoiler alert, they don't. Not when you're dealing with a man like Marcus Chen. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever watched a thief take credit for your work, then buckle up, because this is the most satisfying takedown you'll hear all week. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already part of the family, and let's dive into how I turned one line of code into the sweetest revenge I'll ever taste. 2 years ago, I was nobody. 29 years old, freelance game developer, working out of a one-bedroom apartment in Seattle with a desk I built from IKEA rejects and a dream that felt equal parts foolish and inevitable. I'd been grinding for 7 years, ever since I dropped out of a computer science PhD program because I was tired of writing papers nobody read. I wanted to build something people could feel. So I did. I called it Echelon Protocol, a tactical stealth RPG with emergent AI, enemies that learned from your behavior, adapted to your strategies, made you feel like you were playing against something alive. It wasn't just ambitious, it was obsessive. I spent 14-hour days writing code, modeling environments, tweaking AI parameters until my eyes blurred and my wrists screamed. I drained my savings, $47,000, into outsourcing art assets and sound design. I lived on ramen, coffee, and spite. But God, it was beautiful. The prototype was clean, tight. A vertical slice that played like an AAA game made by a team of 50. Except it was just me. And I knew that if I could just get it in front of the right investor, the right publisher, someone who saw what I saw, this thing could go supernova. Enter Marcus Chen. I met him at a Seattle indie dev mixer in March 2 years ago. He was tall, charming, mid-40s, with the kind of effortless confidence that made you feel like he was doing you a favor by shaking your hand. He ran a small publishing studio called Vanguard Interactive. Nothing massive, but they'd had a couple modest Steam successes. He saw me demoing Echelon on my laptop in the corner, and he didn't just glance, he watched. For 20 minutes, he stood behind me, silent, while I ran through a combat scenario where the AI flanked the player, set traps, called for reinforcements. When I finally turned around, he was smiling. Not a warm smile, a hungry one. "That," he said, "is the smartest AI I've seen in 10 years. My heart nearly exploded. "You built this alone?" I nodded. "How close are you to finishing?" 6 months, I said. "Maybe 8. I just need funding for QA, marketing, final polish. I want in." Just like that. He handed me his card, Vanguard Interactive, CEO and founder. Come to my office Monday, let's talk partnership. I floated home that night. Monday came. His office was sleek, glass walls, minimalist furniture, a view of the Seattle skyline that screamed success. He offered me coffee. I was too nervous to drink it. Here's the deal, he said, leaning back in his chair like he'd already made up his mind. I love what you've built. I think Echelon Protocol could be huge, but you need infrastructure, marketing, QA, distribution. That's where I come in. He slid a contract across the desk. I'll fund the remaining development, $250,000 up front. You finish the game under Vanguard's banner. We split revenue 50-50 after costs. I scanned the contract. It looked clean, standard stuff, revenue split, development milestones, creative control clauses. There was one section, buried on page 9, about source code access for quality assurance purposes. I should have read it closer. I should have hired a lawyer, but I was desperate, and he was offering me $250,000 to finish my dream. I signed. The first 4 months were perfect. Marcus gave me an office at Vanguard, a real desk, a second monitor, a team of 2 junior developers to help with grunt work. He checked in weekly, gave feedback, praised my progress. "You're a genius," he'd say. "This is going to crush." I worked 70-hour weeks. I lived in that office. I poured every ounce of my soul into making Echelon flawless. And it was. By month 5, we had a near-complete build. The AI was terrifying. The gameplay was addictive. The reviews from our closed beta were glowing. Best indie game I've played in years. The AI is unreal. This is goatee material. I was flying, and then Marcus called me into his office on a Friday afternoon in late October. He wasn't smiling. "Sit down," he said. I sat. He didn't offer coffee this time. "We need to talk about the timeline." "Okay," I said. "We're on track for a February launch. We're moving it up." I blinked. "To when?" "December." My stomach dropped. "Marcus, that's 6 weeks away. We haven't finished QA. There are still placeholder assets in Act 3. The final boss encounter isn't even... The market window is now," he said, voice flat. "Holiday sales. If we miss it, we're dead. We'll be releasing a broken game. We'll patch it. That's not how this works. It's how I work." The air in the room went cold. "I'm the publisher," he continued. "I make the call. You're the developer. You execute." I felt my hands clench. "This is my game, Marcus." He leaned forward. "Actually," he said slowly, "if you read the contract, page 9, section 4, Vanguard Interactive retains full ownership of all source code, assets, and intellectual property developed under this agreement." The floor disappeared. "What? You signed over the IP the day you took my money." "That's not. It is." He slid a printed copy of the contract across the desk, highlighted in yellow. Section 4C. All code, assets, and intellectual property created during the development period are considered work for hire and are the sole property of Vanguard Interactive. I couldn't breathe. "You said this was a partnership." "It is," he said. "I'm the partner with the checkbook. You're the partner with the keyboard." I spent 2 years on this. "And I gave you $250,000 to finish it. You've been compensated." My vision blurred. "If you're not comfortable with the December launch," he said, voice smooth as poison, "I can bring in another dev to close it out." "You can't. You don't know the systems. You don't understand the architecture." "Then I suggest you get comfortable." I worked like a machine, 16-hour days, no weekends. I skipped Thanksgiving. I slept 3 hours a night and drank so much caffeine my hands shook when I typed. And I got it close. Not perfect, but playable. December 15th, Echelon Protocol launched on Steam. My name was in the credits, buried. Additional programming, Jamie Torres. Marcus's name was first. Created and directed by Marcus Chen. I wanted to scream, but I told myself, it's fine. The game is out. I'll get my revenue share. This will all be worth it. 2 weeks later, Marcus called me into his office again. This time, there were 2 other people in the room, a lawyer and an HR rep. "Jamie," Marcus said, "we're restructuring." I knew what was coming. "We've decided to bring development in-house. Your contract is being terminated, effective immediately." The lawyer slid a severance packet across the table. "You'll receive 2 weeks' pay and a standard NDA. Sign here." I looked at Marcus. He didn't even meet my eyes. "You're firing me. We're restructuring. You stole my game and now you're throwing me away?" "Careful," the lawyer said. Marcus finally looked up, and he smiled. "Good luck, Jamie. I'm sure you'll land on your feet." I signed the NDA, not because I wanted to, but because I had $3,000 in my bank account and no other options. I packed my desk in a cardboard box, walked out of Vanguard Interactive for the last time, sat in my car in the parking lot and sobbed. The first month after I got fired was a blur. I applied to 50 jobs, got 2 interviews, no offers. My landlord started sending late notice emails. I ate dollar store mac and cheese and tried not to think about the fact that Marcus was probably buying a Tesla with my revenue share. And then one night, about 6 weeks post-firing, I was lying on my couch, doom-scrolling Reddit, and I saw it. A post in r/Steam. "Echelon Protocol is a broken mess and the devs are ignoring us." I clicked. The comments were savage. "AI is completely broken in Act 2. Game crashes every time I hit the final boss. Save files are corrupting. This is unfinished garbage." My chest tightened. I clicked over to the Steam page. Mixed reviews, 43% positive. And there, right at the top, was Marcus's response to a negative review. "We're working on patches. Thanks for your patience. Marcus Chen, lead developer." Lead developer. I almost threw my laptop. But then I saw something else, a review that made my blood stop. "The AI in this game was incredible in beta. What happened? It's like they broke it on purpose." And that's when I remembered. The failsafe. 6 months into development, back when I still trusted Marcus, I'd had a moment of paranoia. A tiny voice in my head that said, "What if he screws you?" So I built a kill switch. Not a literal kill switch, more like a self-destruct that could be triggered remotely. Buried deep in the AI behavior tree, hidden in a subroutine so obscure that no one would ever find it, unless they knew exactly where to look, was a single line of code. A function that, when activated, would slowly corrupt the AI's decision-making process, make it dumb, make it broken, make the game unplayable. And the trigger? A simple HTTP request to a private server I controlled. I'd built it as insurance, and then I'd forgotten about it. Until now. I sat up, opened my laptop, pulled up the back-end server I'd set up 2 years ago, the one I'd never decommissioned. And there it was, the switch, one button. I hovered my cursor over it. My hands were shaking. "This is illegal," I thought. "This is sabotage." But then I thought about Marcus, about the contract he tricked me into signing, about the credit he stole, about the work he stole, about the way he smiled when he fired me, and I clicked. Nothing happened immediately. The failsafe was designed to be slow, subtle, a creeping rot. Over the next 72 hours, players started reporting new issues. The AI is acting weird. Enemies are just standing still. The game is literally unplayable now. The Steam reviews tanked, overwhelmingly negative, 31% positive. And then the refund requests started, thousands of them. Steam's policy is clear. If a game is broken, they issue refunds, even outside the normal 2-hour window. And Echelon Protocol was shattered. Marcus tried to patch it. He pushed 3 emergency updates in 1 week. But he didn't understand the codebase. Every patch made it worse. By day 10, the subreddit was a war zone. This is a scam. Vanguard Interactive is a fraud. Someone should sue. And then, day 14, someone did. A class action lawsuit. Vanguard Interactive knowingly released a defective product. Marcus tried to do damage control. He posted an apology on Twitter. We're working around the clock to fix this. But it was too late. The momentum was unstoppable. And then came the number, $14.2 million. That's how much Steam refunded in 2 weeks. I saw it reported on Kotaku, then PC Gamer, then Forbes. Indie publisher faces collapse after catastrophic launch. I read every article. Twice, I made popcorn. 3 weeks after I flipped the switch, Vanguard Interactive shut down. Marcus posted a final statement on the company website. Due to unforeseen technical issues, we are ceasing operations. No apology, no accountability, just a quiet retreat into the shadows. I found out later, through a developer friend, that Marcus had personally lost everything. His investors pulled out. His reputation was radioactive. He was done. And me. I was sitting in my apartment, staring at my laptop, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. I didn't rebuild Echelon Protocol. Not yet, but I did start over. Built a new prototype. Smarter this time. No partners, no contracts, just me. And this time, when I launch, my name will be first, because I learned something from Marcus Chen. Trust is a luxury, and revenge is a line of code. Here's the thing about betrayal. It teaches you who you really are. Marcus thought he could erase me. Turns out I was the only one who knew how to make his empire run. And when I took that knowledge back, he had nothing. Funny how that works. If this story gave you chills, if you've ever dreamed of flipping the script on someone who wronged you, smash that like button, drop a comment telling me the pettiest revenge you've ever pulled off, and subscribe because trust me, we've got more stories like this coming your way. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just one switch. See you in the next one.